give me permission to commit zina? Will you give me permission to fornicate? Now that's a very uncomfortable question, to be completely honest. And if anyone wanted to ask that question to Sheikh Ala, to Sheikh Abdullah, or any respected figure, they might feel kind of shy to do so. Like, how am I going to ask to do something that is so clearly sinful? But this young man felt that he could ask the Prophet ﷺ this question. So he says, "O Prophet of God, give me permission to fornicate." What's really interesting is that the Sahaba, the companions around the Prophet, they get mad. How dare you? What? Are you crazy? You know what this is? It's the Messenger of Allah. And they got upset. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Leave him alone." It's very interesting. He said to his companions, the elder companions, said, "Leave him alone." And then he said to the young man, "Come closer. Come sit close to me." And to me, as someone who does counseling, this is a counseling session. Come close, let's talk. And then he says to the man very calmly, with love, with sincere concern, with empathy, but with intelligent empathy. He says to the man, "Would you be comfortable if someone did that kind of act with your mother?" And the man says, "No, may Allah make me your ransom, O Messenger of God," which is a statement the Arabs would use for surprise, for shock. Absolutely not. That's disgusting. I would never want that. So then the Prophet goes on, another question. If you notice, he didn't say to the young man, "Don't you know this is haram? Don't you know this is forbidden? Don't you fear the fire? Don't you know who I am? How dare you ask me this question?" He doesn't say any of that. The exact opposite, because ultimately he's looking for the means to allow guidance and understanding to blossom in this man's heart. That he's coming with a certain understanding, a certain perspective, and the Prophet wants to ensure that he can understand the proper perspective. So he asks him that question. Then he asks him a similar question. He says, "Would you like it if someone did that particular act with your sister?" Once again, he's upset and shocked. Of course not. That would be bad. And then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says, "Just like you don't like it to occur with your mother or your sister or your daughter, the person that you want to do this with is someone's sister, someone's future mother, someone's daughter. So just like you don't appreciate that happening to those you love, don't do something like that to someone that other people love, who is honored and beloved to them." And then the man understands. The young man, now it makes sense. And then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he puts his blessed hand on his heart and he makes dua for him. And he says, "Oh God, purify his heart, forgive his sins, and protect his chastity, protect his privates." And the young man said, after that day, after that one conversation with the Messenger of God, that act became the most vile in my eyes. Initially, I wanted it so badly that I wanted permission to do it, and he wouldn't have asked permission unless he had already known that it was forbidden. But the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, his heart is so vast that he can accommodate this man's question without making him feel less, without making him feel judged, without making him feel like he's somehow a bad person. That he can feel where the man is, even though he's not relating to him in the same desire, but he can understand. He's a young man, he's trying to understand. He might not have heard this perspective. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gives him this one-on-one time and educates him, and he walks away a different person. He walks away transformed in understanding, in love, in appreciation, that at the very least, he's been listened to. That he's been listened to. And this is what a lot of people who have questions about Islam, whether they've grown up Muslim or people who are trying to learn about Islam, a lot of times they really just want to be heard. They want someone to feel that they matter, that their experience is valuable, even if it's a different experience, even if they're in a completely different phase of their lives. But the sunnah of empathy is to care about people to such an extent that you're open to even the things that make us a little bit uncomfortable. Not necessarily validating those things, but being willing to have that space, that emotional intelligence to work with them and talk with them and show them that love and that concern. In another hadith,